Okay, what's your name?
Mark Miller.
And what's your job here?
I'm Senior Sales Manager at La Posada de Santa Fe.
Okay, now there's a story about one of these rooms up there. Could you briefly explain what it is?
Well, first off, we'll be walking up there. This is the Abraham Staab house. He opened this house for his bride to entertain in 1882.
Okay.
So, and her name was Julie.
And now you said an original inscription.
Well, you can see Abraham Staab's initials over the keystone there on the door.
Oh, yeah.
So all this work here, the glass, the hinges, the woodwork, all still original. Technically, it's French Second Empire instead of Victorian.
You got it.
But to me, it looks Victorian. So as we're going up the stairs here, you'll see two portraits of the Staab house. This is how it looked in 1882 before the ballroom burned off, somewhere around 1919. And this is what it looked like after that, and without the adobe facade from the street, that's what it looks like today. So here we are at Julia Staab's room, and this whole floor was where the family lived, whereas they entertained down below. And she was known as one of the best entertainers in Santa Fe because she had to entertain all of his clients. He was in the mercantile business, and so he entertained people from both the Jewish community and the Catholic community, the Spanish, the Anglo-Saxons here in town. And she was a wonderful hostess.
Now, wait a minute. Still, yeah. What is it? Now, you're saying this room has her ghost in there? Or
well, yes. And right where you're standing is a typical spot she's seen often. Julia she had several children. I can't tell you exactly how many. She lost a child later in her career as a mother. I think the child was around 5. It wasn't like a childbirth thing, but she, of course, as any mother would, went into grief, and she grieved and grieved more, and went from the best hostess in town to a total recluse. And she passed away in this room. So once in a while, people have said they've actually seen her, right? Oh, yeah.
Well, let's go in.
Yeah, let's go in. So we always announce ourselves when we come into her room because it's still hers. Julia, we're going to show your room. So a few of the furniture pieces are still original. We've done some additions to the room over the years, like we added this tin ceiling in the little sitting room, and the light fixtures like that one back there is original, and you can see the glass is original. These chairs and this love seat are original. You can see the wavy, the old mercury glass.
Oh, yes.
So the glass is still original.
Oh, yes.
But the room looks nice now, and I think she's happy with it because the new owners made it very Victorian and very nicely done. Whereas before they were trying to use the furniture from some of the original pieces, and the room didn't work as well. Also, this fireplace was blanked off after the ballroom burned down. This is not Julia, and it's a common misconception that it is her. She is actually, I don't know whether she was a granddaughter or a niece. And she was the mother of a man I knew, Bob Nordhaus, who passed away in Albuquerque. He was one of the 10th Mountain Division skiers from World War II and helped found all the ski areas in New Mexico. And that was his mom. And she is related to Julia, and they say there's a likeness to her, but that's actually not Julia.
All right, well, tell us about the experiences that have happened here.
Well, lots of people have had different experiences, and I've heard those stories. The only personal experience I've had was several New Years ago. We had a couple being married here. She had lived in Santa Fe for 10 years, and he was a Scot, so he was wearing his kilt. And when I came across them, they were looking for places for nice portraits with their professional photographer. And I said, let's see if Julia's room is available. And I brought him up here. The photographer and the groom and I walked in, and he wanted to see if the room looked like what he wanted for the photo. She was waiting in the hallway, pulling up her long satin gloves.
Oh, wow.
And we said, oh, yeah, this is great, perfect, come on in. So The door was open. She started through the door, and all of a sudden we heard her shriek and holding her elbow. And she said somebody slammed the door on her. So whether maybe Julia didn't want a beautiful woman in her room, I'm not sure. But it's it was very real to the bride.
Wow.
And then another credible story that I had was we had an entertainer who was auditioning when we had a piano down in the Staabs Lounge, which is right below us here at La Posada. And he was here, knew nothing about the ghost. 2 p.m, finishes his audition with the food and beverage manager, and he leaves and he walks by the foot of the stairs that you filmed originally. And he just, out of the corner of his eye, he happened to notice something, and he passes down the 4 steps and past the front desk, and he couldn't stand it. He went back to the front desk, and he said, are you guys filming something here today? And they said, no. Well, why do you ask? And he said that, well, there was a Victorian lady at the top of the stairs, and it looked like you might be filming here. So they all went, well, it looks like you just saw Julia.
Oh. Wow.
And this is someone that knew nothing about the ghosts and doesn't have any...
Wow.
Right.
Well, I want to thank you and Julia so much for giving us of your time and allowing us to be in her room.
Thank you.